Is anyone else going to start crying when I play it?
Yeah.
Why?
What is it? Okay?
Why?
What song?
Because we had a kid who was like, my dad left while I was listening to this song. I'm like, yikes!
Oh.
Right?
It was Andrew Wakeman.
It was not Andrew Wakeman. No.
What?
it was not.
Well, what song is it?
No. Andrew was not. No. Why would you say that? No.
Because
He's
like
to say
my
that.
dad left me.
No, that's not. Stop it. Okay, enough
No,
of that.
he's-
We're all having a good time here. We're not doing that. Okay.
That's all
So,
it's not,
are we gonna be okay if I play "Colder Weather" by Zach Brown Band?
Yes.
Okay.
We're okay.
I thought it was appropriate given the snow on the ground. Okay. It's from the album "You Get What You Give," 2010, Zach Brown Band, "Colder Weather." Always happening between 6th and 7th hour. My sound card is out.
This is not a workman's class.
Describe that in words.
Here you go.
Describe that.
Shut up.
Describe that in words.
Got it.
Stuff?
Got it.
She'd take Colorado if he'd take her with him.
What's it called? This is such a sad song.
Closes the door before the winter lets the cold in, and wonders if her love is strong enough to make him stay.
I try to avoid country the most
Answered
part. You guys listen to a lot of
by the
it. Also,
taillight
most country is
shining
so
through
pop
the
nowadays.
window
Zach
pane.
Brown Band finds its roots more so in the
You
Garth
said I wanna see you
Still very
again,
much so pop infused.
but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better.
Have you ever listened to
Can I call you then? She said you're a rambling man, and you ain't ever gonna change. You got a gypsy soul to blame, and you were born for leaving.
So I know too much.
At a truck stop diner just outside of Lincoln.
Yeah, that works.
The night is black as the coffee he was drinking,
What does it look like? Like, what does that outbreak like?
and in the waitress eyes he sees the same old light is shining, and thinks of Colorado and the girl he left behind him. He said, I wanna see you again, but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? She said, you're a rambling man, and you ain't ever gonna change. You got a gypsy soul to blame, and you were born for leaving.
That doesn't even sound good.
Born for leaving.
I gotta be careful.
Well, it's a winding road when you're in the lost and found. You're a lover, I'm a runner, and we go round and round. And I love you, but I leave you. I don't want you, but I need you. You know it's you that calls me back here, baby. Stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you there? 'Cause I'm a rambling man. I ain't never gonna change. Got a gypsy soul to blame, and I was born for leaving. Born for leaving. When I close my eyes, I see you. No matter where I am, I can smell your perfume through these whispering pines. I'm with your ghost again. It's a shame about the weather, but I know soon we'll be together, and I can't wait till then.
You visited Amsterdam?
I can't wait till
I might this spring break. See, I got a friend.
guy last year.
Yeah.
Christoph.
Christoph, that's a dope name. All right, so tell me what you see. How did you think about this? Jace.
No, he's
Hey, shut up. What?
I saw that they're adding squares to the corners.
Okay, so the way he sees it is that we take the same thing from before, but we add squares in the corners, right? Little copy and paste action. Now, representing that mathematically is difficult, but we're going to get into that, okay? And it's a little bit advanced, but we're going to get into it, okay? I think most people do see it that way, though. So the way we see it is actually kind of hard to represent mathematically, but once you see how that works, I think it'll really open some doors for you. How else might you see this?
It looks like an X.
It looks like an X, that's right.
What?
9 squares here.
Oh, they said there's ice cubes.
On the first one. Hold on. Parker says there's 9 squares. I assumed he was talking about this. He says this has 9 squares.
Yeah, it does.
Do you see them?
Yeah, what?
The white squares and the orange squares. Parker, you ever taken art class? Negative space, right? So, another way to think about this is we have a 3 by 3 square, and then we subtract away 4. We have a 5 by 5 square, we subtract away 4 times 4, which is 16. We have a 7 by 7 square, we subtract away 4 plus 5, that's 9. 9 times 4 is 36. So we have a 7 by 7 square, and we subtract 36. So instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to add on whatever, and I'm going to get what I want, he's saying, start out with the whole thing and subtract away what you don't want. Now that's a more complicated way of representing things. I'm going to explore that for a second. So when n equals 1, we have a 3 by 3 square, and then we subtract 4, right? That's the negative space. When n equals 2, we have a 5 by 5 square, and then we subtract 16, right? 4 groups of 4. N equals 3, we have a 7 by 7 square, and we're subtracting away 36. Okay? When n equals 4, what would the square be? It'd be a what by what? 9! 9 by 9, right? And then we subtract what? How much would we subtract? Better question. We subtract 1, we subtract 4, we subtract 9. How much would we subtract in the bottom here? It's a pyramid shape, right? So we have subtract 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1. 16. So there's 16 that would be taken away on the next step, right? 16 times 4, 64. And so on and so forth. Now, representing this algebraically is difficult. We did it mathematically, right? But algebraically, meaning how does it relate to n, is more difficult. I will give you self-development points for that. If you're worried about self-development points, okay, you shouldn't be if you've been doing stuff during while subs were here. You're probably fine. I will admit I'm behind on calculating self-development points. I always drop the ball on something when I implement my stuff at a new school because I got so many things going on. My class is very involved, right? And typically, when I'm spending 5 to 6 hours a night making homework assignments, tests, quizzes, etc., and grading, the thing that's on the back burner is self-development. Okay, so if you're concerned about that, I understand why. If you've been doing stuff, you will be fine. Okay, but if you want to do this, okay, there's a way to do it. Now, how does this relate to n? Right? Right now, there's no connection here. It's just like, yeah, you do a 3 by 3 and you subtract 4. Well, what does that have to do with step 1? Right? What's the connection there? We're going to explore that. If you want to, get some self-development points. Did anybody get an equation to represent this?
No.
Parker.
And 4 plus 1.
Got it. So I'm going to put the 4 in front. That's the equation. Check it out. If n is 1, we plug in 1, we get 4 plus 1 is 5. If n is 2, we get 8 plus 1, which is 9. If n is 3, we get 12 plus 1, which is 13. Do we indeed have 13 squares in the last one? Yes. The pattern plays out. Now, I'm going to write it like this, because they're both the same thing. I think this one represents more accurately what's happening here. Even though the same dumb crap, right? Can someone explain to me what these pieces mean? What does it mean? What does the 1 mean here? What does the 4n mean here? And I know it, right? You take 4 times the step and then you add 1. What does it mean over here? How does it connect with the picture? Do you see it? Baker, you got something to add or no?
I was just going to answer the question.
Yeah? Oh, you were raising your hand earlier and I didn't get you, so I was worried that you had something else to say.
It's kind of irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Cool, so now what?
For every step you add, you add forward to the step.
Oh my
I don't know. Like,
I know what you're talking about. Maybe you can help. I think I can help direct you though, so people understand what you're saying. What does this 1 represent in this picture over here?
The square and another step.
Not the other step. Steps at the ends, right?
Adding.
Okay, you're on the right track. I'm gonna help you out. What does the 1 represent?
The square.
Square in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
So what this is saying is, start with 1 square and add 4 other squares around it. So we start with 1 square and add 4 other squares around it. Why 4 squares? Because there's step 1, so 1 group of 4. Now for step 2, how many groups of 4 are we going to add to the 1 square? 2 groups of 4.
And 3.
And then again, we're going to start over with 1 square. That's what this means. Then we're going to add 4 times the number of steps. Well, what step is this? Step 3. So we're going to add 3 groups of 4 around it, and that's going to make your drawing. Well done. That's what this means, visually, geometrically. This is the algebra. And if we can think of those back and forth, this has like some meaning to it. Whereas 4n plus 1, like who cares, right? But, like that's what 4n plus 1 looks like. Or more accurately, start with 1 and then add 4 each time. That's what it looks like. It's pretty dope. So same thing over here. This relates n, right? It tells us like how the step number relates to the number of squares, right? You take the step number times 4 and add 1. This doesn't have that yet. It doesn't have a relationship to the step number. If you can figure that out, I'll give you some self-development points. That's more difficult. What does this represent, though? The area of the square, right? Which makes sense that we would represent this not 3 times 3, but 3 squared. This is the square.
Aha.
That's why they call it squaring it. It's not a joke. It's literally, that's where the name comes from. There's a hint. It's the square part, literally, minus the stuff we don't want, right? But how does that relate to the step number? That is a challenge. Put that away. You may screenshot. We are IRL. You may take a picture of that if you want and try to figure out how that relates and how you can relate n to what's going on over here.
Did you ever get your phone?
It's up to you.
Yeah, I was forgetting.
Put that away. Ah, fantastic.
What
Is that?
Petrushka Suite is separate. That's another thing by Stravinsky. But Firebird Suite is not only like a classical work, like an orchestral piece, but it's also an opera. And Stravinsky was one of the greatest Russian conductors, one of the big 5, right? Mahler,
Is it a dude or a dude?
Korskov. Well, she is a girl. Stravinsky is a dude. But Igor Stravinsky was a Russian composer at the turn of the century in the 1900s. And he composed this, not Firebird Suite, but another really good piece called The Rite of Spring. Anybody ever seen the original Fantasia?
Yeah.
Like the old one, not the second one, 2000. Yeah, but the original, right? I grew up on that. The one with the dinosaurs,
Yeah.
that's Rite of Spring. That's the song. It is super violent orchestral piece. It's just like crazy. And so when people heard this at the first time in Moscow, where he premiered it, I think it was Moscow, it was in Russia, it literally caused riots. Like it messed with people's brains because they weren't used to hearing that kind of music. And it wasn't just they were like it was like literally like it was a chemical reaction in their brain that caused people to go nuts.
Whoa.
That can happen.
That's all.
I heard this song, let's go to riot.
Yeah, for real. It wasn't like they were just being stupid people who were like, oh, let's be mad about it. Like they didn't hate the music or anything. It was like it literally messed with their brains. Now you listen to it, it's not that big of a deal because we're used to this kind of music. We're used to that kind of dissonance, those hard, harsh sounds. But at the time, it had never been done before. And it was so violent and visceral that it actually caused riots, which is pretty dope. Right?
What album was that?
That's KOD, J. Cole. It's a good album. All right.
What's your favorite album of all time?
Well, he's smoking blunt.
We don't have time for that. Okay? I don't have a good answer for that. I wish I did.
What are they drinking?
That's
Oh, that's a
plain.
martini.
My latest
Oh,
favorite
that
album.
It looked like a martini cup.
That is okay.
There's a disclaimer up here that
Did
says
you see the
this
straw?
album is in no way intended to glorify addiction. It's not glorifying it. It talks
That
a lot
is
about it.
cocaine. That's
Yeah.
weed. And
Guys, we talked about this. There are drugs and there's drugs. Cocaine, not even once, guys. Not even once. Okay.
That's acid.
Drugs are bad. Those are bad.
Oh yeah.
Favorite album of all time right
That's
now.
acid.
One that I'm really into.
What's his name?
No, that's an acid.
Probably.
No, they're more
What is that one? What's in his mouth?
What?
That's
Dude, that's
Yeah.
acid.
Are you sure?
Probably my favorite album right now is Radiohead's
See
Hail
the
to the
dude
Thief.
sticking fire?
Probably Hail to the
That's
Thief.
acid. She thinks it's Xanax.
Well, because they're more like longer. And they're more
I think that was
rectangular. Acid is square.
So
Put that away. Here's what we're doing today.
blow it up so you can see it. And I can put
I got something for you.
You could, but usually like.
We've been learning a lot about slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, and graphing things in that regard. Today we're going to learn about point-slope form, another way to write the equation of a line.
I'm not legally obligated.
So slope-intercept form has the slope in it and the intercept, the y-intercept, the b, right? Point-slope form has a point on the line in it and the slope. That's why they call it point-slope. Okay?
I never.
This can be
It's like
helpful
cough syrup.
because if you want a line to go to a certain point at a certain angle,
It's cough syrup.
then point-slope form is useful, right? Plug in the point you want to go through, and then plug in the slope you want. You've got the equation of the line.
Are we going to do this like this in class?
What is that?
What is that? What is that?
It says I a lot.
Huh?
Oops, that's
You just
my-
did it a million times.
Should I put this random?
That's a dedication.
Should I type the second time I got to
Going to my
all day?
Are you a pro pen spinner? Because if you're not, you should be. That could be you, man. That could be your identity. What's a pro? Okay, look. I ain't gonna judge, but like judging by your clothes, you should know what a pro pen spinner is, right? Come on, man. You see those people that like
You,
have the thing?
throw it, like, around
Yeah, they're
your
like
hand.
whipping around their hand all the time, right? It's like it's a very skater thing, right?
Are we?
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
if you're not into it, right, you will be into
Get
it.
into it.
Yeah.
We would drum that was our thing. We
Gotcha.
never spoke. We
Like
just
this?
all the time.
I dig. Do you play drums?
I used.
C.
Yeah, that's dope.
I just see.
Me too, actually. Did you know that?
I'm trying.
Oh, you knew that. Yeah.
No.
Really?
No.
No.
Oh,
You
yeah.
play- you play
That's
like-
my main instrument. Yeah.
If you put something in the tuba, can you blow enough air to that sucker out?
Can I do it?
Yeah.
No, probably not.
Yeah, but you have
Like
good
put a
lungs.
watermelon up in that.
Definitely not. No.
No,
Like I
it's
can.
too big. It's too heavy.
All right, fine, cantaloupe.
It's
I know
still too
you're a
heavy.
guitar player, right? That makes sense. It makes sense, right? Guitar players and bassists are always doing this type of stuff. It's really rarely ever drummers, ironically enough. All right,
I
so
thought they like swirl sticks.
here is the deal. What is point slope form? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. All right, here it is. The idea of point slope form is this. So what you're going to have
Can't see it.
is this kind of thing. So we still have a y and an m, right? That makes sense because we're going to have a slope. We're going to have some number over here. And we're going to call that number h. And we're going to call this number next to x k. You don't need to. You're good. This is point slope form.
Wrote that N weird.
Did I?
Yeah.
That's m. And we know m is slope, right?
You know, like, do the stick and then you
Slope.
like, why do you draw your N like that?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Stop judging him.
I know, but he just like did a stick and then just boop boop. Shut.
I'm
What?
surprised you're not judging the capital.
Yeah, it is a K.
What does K stand for?
Great question.
Because that bothers me.
It stands for K.
I'll tell you in a second.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Then we got h
I just said K.
Height.
and k.
H is high. HK.
M stands for slope. H stands for hope. K stands for clope. Right? It makes
H
sense.
stands for what?
I'm joking. All right. So this is our point.
Cool.
Or Coke.
So check it out. H is the x coordinate of the point we're talking about, and k is the y coordinate. We use h and k because reasons. That's basically it. That's it. There's no good reason. There's none.
H is my favorite letter.
They're like h and k. I is actually a number. We're going to learn about that at some point. J is usually used for vectors. K is as well, but I guess it's not as common. H was just available, and so they're like, why not? I don't
Did
know.
you water Leonard?
I did. Yeah, at the beginning of the week. Not that you guys would ever. Got to take care of your pet, guys, if you ever want fish. All right,
I
so
want a gorilla.
Wait.
we are a long way from a gorilla as a pet. All right. So,
Are we going to get a class?
that reminds me, I have a joke about a pink gorilla. You should ask me to tell it sometime when we have nothing to do for an entire day, because it takes almost an entire day. Also, it takes a week of preparation on your part. You have to do a lot of research, otherwise you won't get the punchline.
On a pink gorilla.
Okay? So maybe towards the end of the year, I'll tell you guys the pink gorilla joke.
Okay.
Okay? But you need to do research beforehand, okay?
Can we see
How much do you guys know about a 2012 Honda Civic?
I won't be at the end of the year, though.
Okay?
Something.
Automatic transmission. You need to know about this. With moonroof. So you need to do some research on that. You need to do some research on pigmentation. Pigmentation in gorillas. We need to do some research on that ahead of time. I'll give you the thing, okay?
Oh my god.
But it's a very involved joke. But it's worth it.
Like
So
the Rocky Horror Picture Show kind of like involved joke. Like,
all right. So
never seen that.
fantastic.
I know some Jew jokes.
How about no? Racism is not okay. All right. So anyway, here we are.
Predatory.
So
Jew isn't a race.
stop. Actually, it is. It is both a race and a religion. So, and the two don't need to overlap. But anyway, so here we are. H and K are the coordinate. M is the slope. Ain't no thing. So when you look at number one has y plus 5. Now 5 is going to be that h value, right? And then we have our slope, which is negative 7/4, times the quantity. Again, we're not using, parentheses x minus 4, close parentheses. The quantity of x minus 4. Much cleaner. The quantity of x, and that it's minus our h value. Or our k value, I should say. Now, here's the thing. Our slope is very easy to identify. What is our slope here? Negative 7/4. You can put the negative up top with the 7 or not. I don't care, right? Or put it down below with the 4 if you're really weird. Okay? Same thing. Now, the point that this line goes through, that they're giving us, is 5 for h. H is the x value, right? So 5. Now, the trick is for k, is that k is what we want here, right? That's what goes there, regular k. But the formula gives us negative k. Do you see that? So k isn't negative 4, it's positive 4. Because the formula gives us the negative version of k, and we want the regular version of k for our point. Do you see that? So you always change the sign for this guy. Because the formula, just how it works out, it gives you the negative version of k. We want the regular version of k. It goes through 5, 4. It doesn't go through 5, negative 4. Okay? That's important to remember. The formula gives us the negative version of k. Whereas this guy gives us the positive version of h, meaning it gives us the regular version of h, right? If h was negative, it would show up negative here, because the positive negative makes a negative, right? But that negative here means change the sign. So it changes the sign of k. So when we see it, we got to remember we got to change it back. Okay? Baker, you all right? Okay, cool. Hand was sort of up, and I don't even have it above your head. I will call on you. So it says write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line. Well, what is slope-intercept form? It's the one with the slope and the intercept. Yeah.
How do you switch in between the two formulas?
That's a great question. That's what we got to do now. So all that information I wrote down was not answering their question. What they want is for us to get this form right here into this form. So the question is, how do you go back and forth between the two? They should be representing a line, so there should be a way, yes. Yes, I can. I'm so sorry. That's what slope-intercept form is, right? The one with the slope and the intercept. So how do we get from there to there? First of all, let's compare the two forms. I'm going to move this now. It's going away. So go back to it. This is point slope. I'm going to zoom out, so now we can talk about our old friend, slope-intercept.
What do you really need to snap a nail off for? Oh, snap. Look, I made the name. I snap off the name.
Not what I was looking for.
Wow.
Yikes.
Yeah.
You would just have it.
All right. Right there.
I didn't know where she was thinking. She took it Total.
M is our slope, B is our y-intercept. We've covered that before, right?
Wow.
What do you notice that's different between these two forms? What's different about them? Yeah, they got an H and a K in this one, and that one doesn't, right? That one has a B.
Missing a B.
Flipped. No. Just kidding.
I know this one has H and K, and that one has B. What
Oh,
else do you
I
notice?
have an X right
Yeah.
there.
The top one has a specific point to start on.
It does have a specific point to start on. This one does not specify a specific point, except it does.
Can you distribute
B
the tab one?
is the y-intercept. That's a point. But yeah, you're right.
Can you distribute the tab one? The M and the.
So
Y is on some.
check this out. I got two good comments here. He says we can distribute the M here, right? And that'll get M and X together, like down here, and give us a number on the outside. Can't we move the H over?
Yeah.
Get Y on its own? Okay, so I'm going to go with what you said first. That was brilliant. That was also brilliant. Okay, so what if we started out in reverse? Instead of starting with slope intercept and starting out with point slope and trying to get to this, what if we start with what we know and try to get to that?
Okay.
It might look like it's harder, but it's actually not. Let me show you. Let's make up a linear equation. Give me an equation in slope-intercept form. Somebody give me a slope. Give me a slope.
3.
3. Give me a y-intercept. -2. All right. Now, just like I told Parker, that -2 is the y-intercept, right?
Yep.
Which is a coordinate, right? It is a dot. It's where we hit. Remember, it's where we hit the y-axis. And if we hit it at -2, what's that coordinate right there?
0, -2.
0, -2. Whoops. Wrong button. So this does give us a coordinate, just like the other one. It's just more hidden.
Yeah.
So we have a point that we can work with. We'll call that point 0, -2. And we have the slope. So how can I write that in this form? Y, what's our H going to be? Do you see it?
Is it negative?
It's 0.
Equals
What's our slope?
3.
Times the quantity. Don't forget that. That's important. The quantity of x minus k. So we're subtracting our k. What's our k? -2. So if we subtract the -2, it's going to be
Just plus 2.
+2. Ta-da. It's in the form. Now you might be like, well, that's silly. You're right, because we used a point that's really silly, right? We used the y-intercept, but it's still valid. Now, how do we get back to that? Well, y plus 0 is y. That's easy, right? And then we do what Skylar was saying. Distribute the 3.
What are they on 6?
Mm-hmm. What do we get here? What happened? We goof?
No.
We got a +6. We're supposed to get back to a -2. What happened?
Oh no.
Mm-hmm. Remember, first rule, trust no one.
Yeah, I know.
Hmm.
You don't distribute. Because he said distribute, so you don't distribute.
Why not?
Staunch.
What happened? Why do we have a +6 there, not a -2?
It's because the H didn't go out.
What'd you say?
The H didn't go out, so the 0 doesn't. Just when you say.
So because that's a 0, it didn't go here. Just like it should have been like a -8, and that would have given us a -2. Maybe. Yeah. Something's up with K, right? Something's up with K. We're not sure yet, though. Maybe we'll figure it out if we have time.
Ooh.
Let's go back to the first one. How do we take this and put it in slope-intercept? Well, the way we just tried, we said we did it like this, right? Ignore all this. We said that we just distributed and moved the 5 over, right? So if I write it out, I should get something like this. Y plus 5 equals, I'm going to distribute that negative 7/4. So what I get is negative 7/4 x. What's negative 4 times 7 divided by 4? Well, negative 4 divided by 4 is easy to do. Let's do that first. What's negative 4 divided by 4? Negative 1. What's 7 divided by negative 1? Negative 7. Make it negative now. Negate it. Positive 7. I'm going to walk you through that again. Here's what I did. If you don't know how I got that, don't write that down yet, because you're going to miss the important part. If I distribute this, it's negative 7/4 times a negative 4. What's a negative times a negative? So our answer is going to be positive. What's 4 divided by 4? Times 7. 7. Okay? Now I subtract the 5. And I get this. Y-intercept at 0, 2. Right?
The tissues.
Jace. This right here. Yeah, that's what we need, the equation. Now, my question is, right, y-intercept at 2, right? So that means this point does go through, or our line does go through it, right? So we should be able to work our way back. We should be able to say that y plus 0 equals negative 7/4x times the quantity of x plus 2. Right? That should work. There's our point. There's our slope. But does it? When we distribute, do we get back to what we started with? We get this. What's 2 divided by 4? A half, right? Sorry. Right? 2 divided by 4 is a half. What's a half times negative 7? Negative 7 halves, right? Okay. Oh no. That's not what we started with.
Graham crackers.
Something's wrong. Something's wrong with how we interpret this.
Uh-oh.
Hi. Parker, Katie. Later, guys. See you soon. So something's going on.
Yeah, they in trouble.
No, I meant here, right?
Oh. I was gonna say failed the drug test, but okay.
So,
Parker?
zip it. So, something's wrong with how we interpret this, because we're not able to go forward and backwards. So what's the deal?
You lied to us.
I did. You should be able to, right? But I lied to you about something. The question is what?
Why? Who, what, when, what, why?
Maybe the formula is wrong.
You see what I'm saying?
It's never right.
Here's the issue we have. Is that when we try to go in reverse, right, that's a valid point. It does exist on our line, so why not plug it in, right? And should get us back to the original. Why doesn't it?
Like a chick with no legs trying to walk.
Should. What do you notice? How much are we off by?
2.
We're off by divides by 2, right? What about here? We got a 6 and we wanted a negative 2. Right? We wanted a 6 and we got a negative 2. something with this 3. Instead of there being a 2 here, because that gets a 6, right? This needs to be different in order to get us a negative 2. What times 3 is negative 2?
Huh? What times 3?
Yeah, so what number would we need there to multiply with 3 to get us a negative 2? What would A have to be? Negative 2/3. Divide by 3, right? So we were off by divides by 3. Here we were off by a divides by 2. Coincidence?
I don't think so. You're back my faults.
On your phone or your Chromebook, I want you to look up point slope form. I'm going to give you
By
guys
the way.
5 minutes to work together to figure out what is wrong here. Spoilers. We haven't done a lot of formulas in here yet. When we do formulas, almost always I will do this.
You'll mess with our heads.
I mean, why just give you the formula? You'll never have to understand what it means. Just plug stuff in, right? No. You're going to have to actually understand what's going on here. Because if you don't, you'll end up failing the quiz anyway.
There's no pink
You
gorillas.
lied to us. That's not point slope form. It's not what it says on Google.
Yeah.
You lied to us.
What does it say?
It says y minus y1 equals x, and parentheses x minus x1.
All right, so we have discovery. Sherlock over here says, look, that's not point slope at all. Here's point slope. What is point slope according to you, Mitchell, according to Google?
Y minus y1 equals m in parentheses x minus x1. And we can't see it. That's what it says on Google.
How different are those?
On mathisfun.com.
And what's different about it?
It doesn't have like kind of a specific.
Just the letters. There's also this. That has a minus sign here. That has a plus sign there. Does that fix things, though? No, right? Because we had a plus 0 there. Minus 0 is the same thing.
Mathisfun failed me.
So what's going on here?
Oh, we talking about like only.
Don't just look up the formula. Look about what it means. What's going on there?
What does find? Do we get self-development once we figure out by the end of the class without you telling us?
Work together.
What do you think? Okay.
Do you think a grizzly bear just killed Goodwill? It's a real debate. Like no natural habitats, just going at
I'm watching this video.
it. I'm serious.
I know you are. I know. I know.
Yeah, but like
that is the most Skylar thing I've ever heard.
Baseball, that's like.
Point slope form. Tired.
Just chilling, man.
What's going on here?
You heard me?
Skylar, zip it. You got 3 minutes left, guys. Figure it out. There will be homework.
Is this the homework?
Why are you doing this to my grade?
I'm coming here distracting my students.
Oh, I just stepped on your shit, my bad. I was gonna say something, but I'll just keep it to myself.
again, if that 0 had a minus sign in front of it instead of a plus, it wouldn't change much, right? So what's going on here? Why does this not work in reverse? If you want, look up a YouTube video. Point slope form to slope intercept form, right? How do we get back and forth between them?
You can't. Justin clips 100 seconds. I will listen to this 100-second clip. It is probably wrong in this next definition, but I will take the effort to listen to it.
A minute and a half.
Wait, what
Yeah, it's an 8-hour day. And where are you going, young man?
See you soon, Tucker.
What?
See you soon.
Is that your favorite student?
I don't have any favorites. Say you all equally.
Oh, that line. Like a parent saying they don't got a favorite child. Oh.
Yeah. They always do.
Or like your children.
My grandmother for years claimed that I wasn't her favorite grandkid, but now she has dementia, and so she was like, I want to tell you a secret. Right? To my mom and my sister, who she didn't recognize were my mom and my sister, she's like, he's my favorite, but you can't tell anyone. You're like, thanks, Grandma.
Was your sister mad?
Yeah, I mean, no one was surprised, but yeah, it's official. It's official.
Is she
Thanks, dementia.
like crazy dementia or just
No, just dementia.
dementia?
So what's going on here?
You distribute.
You distribute first?
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Isn't that what I did? Didn't I distribute this first? Isn't point slope form any point on the line that you want, right, in the slope? Well, this says that there should be a y-intercept at 2. Yeah, what's up? X should go where the y is, y should go where the x is?
That video did not help me at all. I don't know. So, it should be exact same as what you did. Not help. Is that one way to find out?
Yep. See, Mom.
I'm not saying that the video is trying to figure it out.
As much as you can learn about point slope form.
I don't like her.
It's so simple and complicated.
I have really bad blood circulation.
Yeah?
My legs die every time I sit down.
Maybe.